What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Unbuttoned podcast. In this episode, I'm talking to my friend Krystof about love, divorce law, and tech. Yo, Krystof, how are you?
What's up? I'm great. I couldn't be more excited, I guess, to be on a podcast. Like, as I told you, it's
Yes,
this or Rogan. So,
I almost had going into this. You made it here onto the Unbuttoned podcast. So, why do you think
yeah.
Why do you think you deserve to be on here?
I don't know if I do personally, but but
No, you got to defend yourself, bro. Come on.
uh, we go way back, right? Stat 430, and I was like, well, I saw that one episode. So we were talking about the law before, I guess before the air, but I'm interested in divorce law. And you had that girl on that was, like, talking about, people at Penn not wanting to find love and stuff like that, so I was like, "Yo, that's facts. Let me reach out to you and be like, oh, the podcast is sick,' and then you were like, 'Oh, pull up,' and I was like, 'Say less.' Like, this is a dream come true."
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
no,
that girl inspired me to get on here.
no, yeah, and we're happy to have you. What me and the entire Unbun team. You said divorce law like that. I don't know. That
Yeah.
just kind of seems like a little like I don't know. Like not what's so fun about divorce law? Like, isn't that a little bit of like a rough like area to like get into? And does that are you like excited or
So, I feel like it's not a great or, like, if you look at me, it's not a great fit because I like to think of a romantic in, like, the capital R sense, I guess, but also, like, little r. Like, um, I think, like, marriage is really important, like, having a life partner, and I'm Catholic, so I feel like the concept of divorce is just not, like I don't know if I would wanna be perpetuating that, but I feel like the people that are getting divorced typically, like, they're if you're in a divorce lawyer's office, it's too late, as my one of my idols says. So, because of that, like, I don't think I would really be, like, harming love, I would just be learning about it. And I think it'd be so fucking interesting to, hear, like, all these stories of how marriages went wrong with these people. Um, Literally, I think that's yeah, yeah, go.
wait? Is this something seriously that you're considering like studying
Yeah.
divorce law?
I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna see how much I like tech this summer. And if I like it, I
So
probably won't do law, but
it's either between tech or divorce law.
yeah, yeah, it's a pretty insane.
Yeah, that's a pretty like I don't know. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting group of options there. Yeah, no, that's just I did not expect you to say divorce law. I'm still
Yeah,
front.
most people are pretty surprised.
Uh, yeah. All right. So I mean, like, why is it down to these two? Like, is there anything else like you might be interested in, or like what what kind of
Um,
what brought you to
I mean,
the point where you're deciding between these two?
with the tech thing, like, so I came into college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was just gonna be a math major. I took some CS classes, I liked it. I think I generally enjoy CS. I think the only issue is it may not be like a complete passion of mine. Like, I think I'm like good at it to some extent and like it's enjoyable enough. Like I get in the flow state sometimes when I'm programming and all that. But um yeah, and okay, we'll see how much I like it. I mean, I may really like programming and I may learn that this summer, but I think I'm also like really interested in talking to people. And I'm very interested in love. Uh, Not only for me, but, like, just, like, the concept of it, right?
Yeah,
Uh, and I'm taking a philosophy class this semester, and it made me realize that arguing is a lot of fun sometimes. So that kinda lended me to the litigation, aspect of law. And then this one guy, James Sexton, he's some, like, really awesome podcasts, and he's a divorce lawyer, and he got me interested in the divorce law. Um, yeah, I don't know, like yeah, like, generally, I'm not that interested in law, like but divorce law in particular, I think is super cool, so, yeah, I feel like the text. it's kinda like I got, funneled into that to some extent, but I enjoy it, and, yeah, but the law stuff is that's definitely a
And
challenge.
that seems pretty cool, and now that I think about it, because like, as a divorce lawyer, you actually kinda, like, get to learn about how love operates and, like, what goes wrong, like, why does it fall apart? Um, so that's actually I didn't even think about it that way. Yeah, so alright, so you're a math major, right? Are you math or you CS?
I'm math and CS, but in the college,
Let's
so
yes, like, what do you see as the, like, fusion between that and, like, finding, like, the one? Like, I don't know if you've seen there's this show on Netflix. There's also, like, Black Mirror episodes too, where, like, eventually, like, I don't know, there's some algorithm that's so good at, like, matching 2 individuals that, like, it's all just completely a computational game, and there's like, for people to, like, find their optimal match, you just, like it's like a dating app, but instead of, like, you searching for people, it just connects you with the optimal one, and, like, that concept's been talked about a lot. Um, do you think, like, there could be an algorithm for finding, like, someone's perfect match?
so I don't know if I totally agree with the perfect match concept to begin with. First of all, like, I don't even know what that would mean, like, I'm sure they could figure out, like, what's the most compatible, like, person for you, like, personality-wise or whatever, but, um, I think a lot of, love and, like, sustainable partnerships in general, a lot of that depends on how you approach the person, right? Like, I think you could have the most compatible person possible for you, but if you don't want to love that person and, like, make an active effort, especially after, like, the honeymoon phase of a relationship, um, I still, like, don't think it'll work. So, yeah, I don't know, like, I think it could probably give you a more likely chance of, like, staying with a particular person, like, once you're matched with them, but I don't think that that would really solve all of the love, issues, because I do think a lot of people that ultimately get divorced actually are, compatible. I mean, obviously they were at some point. Um, so I'm not convinced that like incompatibility is the real reason that people get divorced. I think it's also important to note that like people change a lot, right? Like you're not the same person that you were 10 years ago. And I'd imagine that no AI can really predict, like even the best AI couldn't predict like how you're going to change in 10 years. Um, so maybe in the short term it could work, but like, you're a very different person decade to decade. And if you want like a long-term marriage, I don't think AI could ever determine compatibility like that far in the future. I don't know. I mean, we see with like Hinge and Tinder and all that, like, that's presumably like some AI assisted compatibility like stuff, but I wouldn't say that we have more or like better relationships now than we did 20 years ago, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't seem to be helping our
Would
problems.
you say it actually has gotten worse now because, like I mean, in some ways it's better because you can find more options, you have access to more things, but now that, like, I don't know, we kind of equate, like, finding someone to, like, be our partner with, like, a swipe on a screen, like, do you think now, like, people kind of find, like, kind of, like, treat their partners as more, like, expendable now, and, like, people are also more
Oh
picky
yeah.
because, like, now it's not like you're just looking at the pool of, like, people in your college, you're looking at all these people, so, like, people get very picky now, like, with, like, who they wanna be with, and then on top of that, like, with this, like, new sense of, like, pickiness and, like, you almost you have, like, this freedom where you're like, "Alright, I can just go out and find, like, some other person."
Yeah.
Does that also make
Yeah.
people less committed in a relationship? Like, what do you think about that? Is it worsen things now?
I think you got it like perfectly right there, to be honest. Even in my personal experience, like uh eh, only at like the initial stages, at least for me, but I'm sure I'm sure people in relationships, think about like all the people they could get on like Hinge or Tinder or whatever. I think it's a really weird fucking thing to like be able to have like 100, potential partners like in your pocket. Like that's just not like a human experience until like, the last decade or whatever. But to the expendability point, like yeah, like I remember going on on, like, a date, let's say, from Hinge and being like, "Okay, well, if this one doesn't work out, like, I could just find another one." And that's, like, a horrible mindset to have, right? Like, you shouldn't be thinking that when you're on a date with someone, right? And in the past, like, it was so much harder to get a date, so you wouldn't feel like that, I imagine, but now you can. Yeah, I feel like in my actual relationships, that's never crossed my mind, right? But in the beginnings, yes, and that's pretty fucked up, I think.
And what do you think between, like, the difference between, like, at because there's all these, like, new I was reading some article online where it's like, I don't know, like, 90% of people under the age of, like, 23 have, like, never asked out a girl in, like, IRL. Like, they meet them on Hinge or, like, meet them or slide into their DMs or something. Like, do you think that makes a difference, like, the initial way you meet? Because, like, I don't know, for me, I've asked out girls both on Hinge and in person, and I feel like when it's in person, there's some, like, initially going into the date, there's, like, some more connection there. It feels more special somehow when you've, like, met them in person and then you ask them in person versus, like, asking them online. Do you think that plays into anything or not really?
Um, well, okay, when you say, like, ask in person, do you mean, like, you just cold approach someone
I don't know,
you've
not
never met
cold
before?
approach, like, let's say you know them
Oh,
already. Let's say I'm talking about, like, just the asking part. I feel like people, like, don't actually know how to ask someone on a date anymore or, like, ask someone out, right? Like, on
huh.
versus, like, on text, yeah, you could just be like, "Hey, like, I don't know, like, let's" I don't know, I probably am not a good example of, like, sending good text on Hinge or whatever, but on I feel like on text, like, when it's in person, you have to, like, work up the courage and be like and let's assume you know both people, like, now you're not doing, like, a cold approach or whatever. I think cold approaching is weird, like, I know there's all these guys on YouTube who are doing that, but, like, yeah, like, when you have to build up the, like, confidence to walk up to someone and ask them out versus, like, messaging them, do you think that that would have an impact on, like, the success of it working out or being a successful date, whether you ask them IRL or not?
Okay, so I think if you don't know the person before, like, I actually don't think it makes that much of a difference, to be honest. I think there's definitely something less romantic about, meeting your partner on Hinge than meeting them in public or, like, a bar or whatever, but, um, yeah, I actually don't think that would affect the date itself, but in the case where you knew the person before, um, I don't know. So I think if you know the person before, it still probably doesn't matter that much whether you ask them over text or in person. Again, like, I think it's more, like, romantic to do like, in the capital R sense, to do it in person, but, yeah, I don't think the date itself would actually be that different. I will say, like, I think asking a person probably reflects some level of, like, confidence. Um, so if the person you're asking is into that, like, maybe that would help to some extent. Like, that's the only thing I could think of, but I don't really think it's a huge problem.
Alright.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't know. That might be my take. I feel like some people disagree with that, but
yeah. No, I kind of agree. I think, like, that's I don't even know why I got so into that. I feel like that in the grand scheme of things, how you initially ask is not such a big deal. But I do like this topic. I feel like we could keep talking about this. I thought we relate it more to, like, Penn specifically. Like, do you,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, like, so in, like, the Penn dynamics, like, have you I don't know, have you, like, mostly just, like, dated or, like, gone with people, like, at your university, or do you think that and maybe not you in general, but do you think, like, it makes a difference, like, dating someone at your university versus not? Because I feel like at your university, it's, like, easier, right? Like, they're nearby, it's someone nearby. You probably have, like, similar interests, like, similar, um, intellectual level or something like that, similar aspirations. Do you think that's a good place to, like, find the one, like, at your university? Or do you think, like, university, like, better to just, like, grind and, like, work hard and then figure it out later? I don't know.
I'm very much of the opinion that
Dude.
you shouldn't be, like, only grinding at school. I think a life partner ideally is something you come out with from Penn, but, yeah, I think you made a good point, like, you know, I think for people that go to, like, I mean, this is gonna sound a little, like, elitist or whatever, but, like, if you go to Penn, you probably want a partner that has, like, a similar level of, like, intellectual interest or, whatever, like, smarts, I don't know what you wanna call it, but, like, I think you have a very curated set of people here, like, with similar intellectual, like, interest and experience. So, just, like, by the numbers, it would make sense to look for your partner here because, almost every Penn student you meet is gonna be, like, at that level of, intellect that you want. Whereas whenever you get in the real world, like, I always say this, like, besides New York or, like, San Francisco maybe, um, most people just, like, aren't gonna be as into academics as a lot of people at Penn. And, like, the conversations that you would like to have with your partner, like, you wouldn't be able to have with, I think, a lot of people in, like, the general public. And that might be, like, a fucked up thing to say, but, like,
Public, yeah. Um,
but, like, you know, I
yeah, I see where you're going with that, no, yeah, definitely, like, at an Ivy League, a lot of people are, like, have a much more of a intensive grind set mentality. So I think, yeah, in a way that's good because, like, maybe you can find someone that has, like, that similar level of drive to you. Because I think that's usually important in relationships, like, make sure that's matches. But then I don't know, like, on the podcast I was talking to with the, freshman earlier, Dia, she was taught she mentioned that, like, because Penn is, like, kind of cutthroat, people are, like, very competitive, um, it might actually hinder, like, your ability to, like, find someone because people are taking, like, less time to, like, I don't know, maybe invest.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like, people wanna, like I wouldn't say people are definitely, like, um, in, like, quick relationships, but I think if, like, you're actually trying to, like, find, like, someone who you really connect with on a long-term scale, like, are people even, like, thinking about that now, or is everyone just, like, so hung up on, like, what internship they're gonna get?
Yeah, for sure. I would say that I don't find Penn conducive at all to, um, finding a life partner. I think it's like the people here, that's like your that's like a really good pool of people to, like, look for your life partner in, but the way that we've set up our culture at Penn and, like, just the way that a lot of these, like, Ivies or, like, whatever equivalent, like, institutions function, like, there's so much emphasis on success, like, whether academically or, like, professionally, um, and just, like, always being busy, that a lot of people just find themselves, like, they say they're too busy to have a relationship. To be honest, like, I will push back a little bit against that because I think, like, if you wanna make time for something, you always can, and I found that in my life, like, my freshman semester, I felt like I was so busy and I was doing, like, nothing, right? And then, like, now I do much more and I feel, like, just as busy. So you just, like, you'll just expand time,
Yeah.
uh, to feel busy even though you're not. So I will push back that, like, I think most people at Penn probably could date, and they just say they're too busy too. But yeah, I just think I think we have, like, a fucked up culture a little bit because to me, it's like not much is more important than having, like, a really good life partner, right? Like, spending, like, 4 hours a week in a club, like, that can't be more important than, like, going on, like, 1 date a week with a partner that could be your wife. Like, that's just not like, that value difference is so clear to me, but I don't think many people see it that way. And,
Damn, really?
if
Are you going on 1 date a week?
I wish, man. I'm super single right now, so I'm not doing too much. But, like,
Yeah,
yeah, if you
I'm
have
sure
a girlfriend, like, that's
I'm sure the
ideal, right?
I'm sure the math degree's gotta help in some way. They're like, what about that, like, the secretary problem where, like, the person's trying to find the optimal secretary and, like, they figured out that, like, if you don't the first 37% of people that you meet, um, if you use that like, if you just say no to the first 37% of, like, anyone, whether, like, you're in the bookings at there's some famous book, but it's, like, someone was trying to it's kind of antiquated and sexist now, but someone was, like, trying to find, like, the right secretary that fit for them, but now
Uh-huh.
if you apply that to another situation do you know what I'm talking about? It's like a game theory thing, like, the first you always say no to the first 37% to get an idea of, like, what you actually want and what you need, and then after the first 37%, the the probability that you select the optimal candidate like goes up like by a lot.
Oh, that would
I
make sense, I guess. Yeah. And I could see how that would relate, like, to Penn. I think, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
ideally, you figure out what you like in high school and then, like, early college, so that you're ready to, like, finally start looking for life partners. Maybe not at Penn, but, like,
yeah.
right after Penn. Yeah, and that's the other thing, like, if you don't have, like, dating experience and then you don't date in college, you start dating when you're 23, and it's like, you need to spend, like, 4 years just to figure out what the hell you want, in most cases, and then, like, you're almost 30, and then it's like, "Holy shit, now I have to find the one." I don't know, it just seems really fucking stressful, right? Yeah, uh, 37%, that's good.
Like, wait, let me look up the thing. It's like I was looking it up right now. It's it's called the optimal stopping theory, bro. To this is how CS and math kids talk about finding a partner. You have to date and people in your life, so you reject the first 37% of them to gather data. After that, pick the next person who is better than everyone you've met so far, and that statistically maximizes your chances of picking the best partner.
Wow. Shit, wha
I think that is an important one. Like I feel like so many people like just like I mean, obviously, it's not good to go into a relationship with the mindset that like you're gonna reject like a certain end group of people to make a more optimal decision. But I don't know. In a way, I think that's good because there's a lot of times like people just end up with like I don't know, maybe like the third or fourth person that they've ever met, and that's something I always like question, right? Like, I guess if it's
Mhm.
working, then it's good. But like, how do you know you like stopped at the found the optimal person. Like, what if you like this sounds like kind of like cynical, but like what if you, I don't know, start you marry someone and like you're how do you know there's not someone better out there? Or like once you love someone, it doesn't even matter. Like once you love them, like even if there's someone out there who like is, I don't know, maybe a better personality fit for you, it doesn't even matter and that like it shouldn't be a concern. I
Yeah, I mean, again, like, I'm sure, like, the person you marry is not gonna be the most compatible, like, personality-wise person in the world, right? But, again, I think a lot of it is how you, like, wanna look at it and how you perceive your partner. And I feel like if you really love your partner, like, you shouldn't really ever consider, like, those other options, right? Like, you should be like, "This is my person, and I'm sticking with them, and, like, I'm never gonna consider, like, anything else." And I think a huge issue too is, like, with, like, the little bit I know about the divorce law stuff, like, when people have affairs, it's just, like, it seems, they look at their, extramarital partner, and the grass is always greener on the other side, right? Like, they'll think that they're in love with them, um, but they're actually not, and, like, once they I mean, okay, sometimes they actually are. In very rare cases, like, affairs do turn into marriages, but, like, um, I think it's easy to just romanticize, like, what you don't have, right? And if you're married to someone, like, you may I like to think I wouldn't be like this, but, I think a lot of people look to the outside and be like, "Okay, this person's better for me, like, maybe I should have an affair or whatever." But, I think that's far from the truth, and, like, yeah, I think it's so fucked up, like, first of all, but, I think most people would agree, right? But, shit, where was I going with that? Yeah, man, I don't know, I just think, like, once you're married to someone and the thing is, like, you should know, like, I think if you're ever hesitating about whether you should marry someone, like, that person's probably not for you, right? Like, when you know, I think. Uh, and I think once you know that, like, barring major issues in the marriage, like, you should really make it a priority in your life to, like, love that person and, like and show that to them. Uh, and then I don't think you'll have many issues, like
dude, you said yeah, I feel like you have a thought you're trying to complete.
Nah, 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 go ahead, go ahead.
You have like the philosopher like beard stroke where I mean with no beard though, like the way you're stroking your chin like alright.
Dude, if I
Um,
could grow facial hair, I would totally would. I wish I had your
I feel
level,
like it's
but
always the opposite. Like I don't know what I have facial hair, and then sometimes I feel like it would just be better to like have a clean shaven look. But I don't know. I don't even want to try. I don't even know what I'd look like clean shaven. Wait, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, dude, you said you're Catholic, right? So what are your thoughts on
yeah.
so the new pope got selected, right?
Yeah, everyone asked me that. I don't really know much about it, to be honest.
Fine, but what are your thoughts on this? Like popes can't get married ever, right? Like they take like a vow of celibacy, they can't get married. Like, do you think that's like hinders the amount of happiness they can have in their life? Like, do you think people who like I mean, A, there's plenty of people who don't get married, but then there's like even the other extreme, like you take like a vow of celibacy or something like that. So like you'll never be intimate with someone. Like, do you think like that's just you're kind of like cooking your chances of happiness, or do you think like you can then, if you do that, find other pursuits and joys in life? I know that's like the complete other extreme of everything we've been talking about, but it just got me thinking because like that's what the Pope does, and like a lot of bishops and not just in like Catholicism. Like there's lots of other religions where people do similar things.
Yeah, I think, I always said that I would have been a priest if I, like, didn't want a wife, right? Like, I actually think the priesthood would be a pretty, like, sick job, but the fact that you can't marry and have kids, like, that's such a big priority in my life that I would never do that. I will say that, I know uh, 2 people that are gonna be priests. One's in the seminary now, and then one is about to go. He's, like, studying theology. And I know them pretty well, and, like, I could tell you that they are not that interested in girls, like, I mean, one of them, I literally never heard him ever say anything about a girl, like, even though, like, middle school, right, like, when you're, like, a stupid
Do
kid, like
you think it's because they're interested in guys?
so, I was gonna get to that point about, like, the priests, like, doing whatever with the kids, like, yeah, so there's a lot of people I think that
Dude, bro, wait, I didn't even mean it like that. You just said like they're not interested in like
oh, okay, but
dating. I was like, or maybe they're like gay, maybe they're interested in guys. I didn't even mean I didn't mean about the
oh,
kid.
yeah, yeah.
But anyway, wait, continue.
Okay, maybe some people are gay, that's a good point. But I was
That
gonna say
got
that
off the tangent, but whatever. What were you saying?
so I think some priests, like, literally don't like, they don't care about romance or sex or whatever. Uh
Is that just because you think like they were like and I don't mean this like I don't know. I'm just like asking like genuinely because they just initially had no interest in that, like they're more like asexual, or is it because like because they're like devoted to a higher purpose that they just
Mhm.
have more interest have more interest like they develop more of an interest, or it's like you think you kind of have to come naturally that way, like not be interested in relationships to become a priest or eventually the pope or something, but like I guess that's my question.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't think you have to. I mean, so that's my experience, like, the people I know that are gonna be priests, but yeah, I mean, obviously, I can't speak from, like, my experience, but I'd imagine that I think for people that don't like, they may still, like, care about like women or whatever, but, um, they may not care about it that much, and, like, they're fine with making because it's a sacrifice, right? Like, you have to sacrifice the family if you wanna be a priest, and if you value being a priest more, like, I could totally see how, like, you could just make that switch. I will say, like, with the scandal and all that, like, I wouldn't be surprised if some of that was induced, like, by horny priests that probably shouldn't have been priests because they like sex so much or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's a bit of I don't know. I think if you really care, like if you're into sex or whatever, like you shouldn't be a priest because that's just not something you're gonna be able to have. And like you you're gonna make really insane decisions like that, right? Like, yeah, I mean, that's probably a deep rabbit hole you could go down, but,
All right, dude.
uh,
Moving on to you being a
right,
system.
yeah, okay, let's keep it going.
You being a moving on to you being a TA for you teach one like Sys 120 and 121, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Currently?
Like,
Like,
right now.
oh, nice, nice. Okay.
I'm in 1210 right now, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know, like I guess my question to you is like, what do you do during like all your free time during office hours? Because like I doubt anyone's coming to office hours anymore. Like with ChatGPT, you can basically like get ChatGPT. You can talk to it like very specifically. You can give it your demands. You can be rude to it. All of which like is probably not advisable to do with your TA. So I'm sure people like are just using ChatGPT, right? Or do you still have a couple of stragglers coming into office hours?
Yeah, we still have people, but it is way less than it used to be. I remember when I took 1210, I mean, GBT was out, but, uh, it was not great, it was like, what, 3.0 at the
Yeah,
time?
like in the 3.0 days.
Yeah, bro, and, like, quad trees, that homework, for all the people that know that, I guess, like, I remember sitting in a 30-person queue when I took the class, right? Like 30 fucking people were there, and the class is like 200 people. It's like, a seventh of the class is in office hours at a moment. Now, dude, I think the deepest a queue has ever been is like 3 or 4 people. Like
Yeah.
and I think programming especially, bro, like you used to see way more people in office hours, but now it's just GBT city, right? Like it's pretty bad. I think written homework is a little better because GBT's still ass at it in some cases. Like we can, I can't say too much, but like I'll say I can tell normally when something is like a GBT solution and uh it'll be wrong like much more than you'd expect. Like I don't think it's a like positive EV or whatever to use GBT. Um, like you should just go to office hours and like get help instead of using the bot because it's not always right. Even though it's very smart now. Yeah,
I mean,
dude. But like,
even like the newer models, like I mean, are you just saying this because you want people to still come to office hours so you don't become obsolete? Or like, because I feel like, dude, I've been using like the O 04 model now, and like that's been doing everything for me. Like whether it's like deep philosophical analysis or like pretty much anything else, I've been able to get it to work.
wow. I don't know. I mean, look, man, like m I love teaching, but I'm not gonna, like, pass up a free OH slot, right? Like like, if no one comes, I'm just gonna work on homework, like, it's yeah, I think I don't know, man, I mean, maybe I'm using the wrong models or they are, but, like, it
You're
does
saying like
seem long
the
sometimes.
while other people are using ChatGPT and not coming to OH, you're in that period of time using ChatGPT yourself to get your own homework done?
Hell no, hell no. I'm actually, like, super anti I'm not just saying this because 'cause I'm on the record, right? But I think, like, I'd be selling myself short if I was using GBT a bunch here, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I
I
saw.
don't think I'm crafted yet to, like, justify, like, not
Yeah,
learning, like,
'cause
real
then, like,
analysis or
yeah, no, that like I would say like definitely like. And by the way, when I'm talking about using ChatGPT, I don't mean like I know some people just like literally will like cheat with it. I mean like just using it as like an aid, like instead of like the time you take to Google something, like learn just to like learn
yeah.
about this stuff or like read through like a lot of readings or something like that. But I don't know. So do you feel like even in that sense, um, like it's better to like because sometimes I feel like why take extra time to like Google something and like look through all these links or like I don't know Command F and search through a PDF when like I could just use GPT for it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I feel like it's like justified in that sense where as long as like it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
yeah
Yeah, I think yeah, you're right on it. I think right? Like, when you're using it in, like, a constructive way that's, like, not cheating, deep down, and I think that's totally fine, and, like, it's more productive probably to do that, right? But, I
yeah.
think anytime you're, like, taking intellectual, like, load off of yourself that's not like definitional or whatever, like that's when it gets
Yeah.
that's when it's bad for you. Like, yeah.
But like even I don't know, nowadays like us like talking about like so you teach people how to code, right? And like even when you think about teaching coding, right? Like when it used to be like teaching coding would be like a lot more you'd get down like to like assembly code and stuff like that. Now people are using like much higher level things like Python and then using libraries and stuff that people already built. So, like when you think about coding, like we've already started abstracting away a lot of the like even stuff that requires intellectual load. We've abstracted it away. So then at least you can then maybe spend your mental effort to do even higher order things. So would you say like would now with people like vibe coding and like using like a LLM to like help them like get some of the groundwork done for their coding. Like, would you say like that's like would will hinder the quality of your coding, or that's just something you should just accept at this point because while that's helping you do things like you can actually start coding at an even now you're thinking more about like the implementation of algorithms, you can get more creative because you're spending your brain power on those higher order things. So like I don't know, how do you think the whole landscape is changing now with people vibe coding, or do you think it's still like important that yeah, like when you're learning you should just learn everything without gpt to begin with?
Mm,
I mean you can break that your answer to multiple parts. I know it just like asked a massive
yeah.
question.
Yeah, so I think the, like, biggest sin is to use GBT for intro classes. Uh, I kinda compare it to, like, if you used GBT to learn how to, like, add or, like, do basic algebra, like, that'd be really bad, right? I don't think anyone would disagree with that. In the same way, if you're using GBT in Sys 1210, like, that's algebra, dude. That's like the most fundamental CS class. Like, I feel like you should be able to do that without GBT. As you get into higher level courses, I still think there's issues with it, but I don't think you really suffer as much of a learning loss um, with like, higher level courses just because you at least like know how to code. And like a lot of the code that is getting spit out by GBT is like stuff you would understand, um, for the most part. Whereas like, 1210, for example, we have like quad trees, like, you learn recursion with that. If you just use GBT code, it's gonna do it really well, but like you're really never gonna understand recursion uh as well as you would have if you did quad trees, right? Like you may learn it in like 1200, but if you cheated your way through that, like you just like won't know recursion, right? Like that's like not knowing how to like plot a graph or something. Like it just seems like such a fundamental skill. Uh, to not know how to do that is a really big fucking problem, I think. And the issue is like GBT is good, but it's not God, right? It doesn't do everything correctly. And if you can't fix the mistakes it makes, then like what's your role, right? Like you are a GBT wrapper at that point, bro. Like if you can't fix like the point of AI is like it'll do a lot of the work, but like you have to be smart enough to be able to fix what it's doing wrong. Like if you can't even fix what it's doing wrong, like you shouldn't even be there. Like you're just completely redundant. Uh
I mean, I don't
well,
know.
and like
Yeah, continue. What were you saying?
what?
No, I
Well,
was just gonna say like at a certain point, like all of us humans will be redundant, right? Like at a certain point, like I think very soon, maybe in like the next 10 years, like what are we gonna do? And we're right now we're just needed to like generate prompts and double check the work of the AI. But what happens when other AIs start doing that? Like won't we all just be redundant at that point?
I don't know. I'm not that convinced that like AI is as good as people make it out to be. I also think, I mean, shit, I don't know much about AI. Like maybe I shouldn't be saying this, but I kind of feel like we're reaching like an upper limit on it.
Yeah.
I'm just
Like,
seeing be the vibe.
do you
Yeah,
have
I don't
like
think we're gonna get general intelligence with LLMs. I think it's gonna have to be something else.
yeah.
It just doesn't seem like it could work for general intelligence.
I mean, do you have like empirical data, or like do you know this from like a like are you
Vibes, bro.
just the vibes, feeling the vibe?
Your vibe. Yeah, yeah. You probably shouldn't trust what I'm saying, but Yeah, I don't know.
But though it was like, cause yeah, I think maybe we might be at the point where we need another breakthrough, right? Like there was, I know like the original notion of like neural networks, like there was like some contest back in like 2012 where people were trying to like identify, like it was for like early image classification, and they used a neural network. And that's when like everything started from there. And then it wasn't, we hit like a massive roadblock. And then I'm trying to remember now, but there was some paper published by Google, something about like, for people who are like cracked at AI, they're gonna like be laughing at me. But so there was something about, let me look this up. Like Google, um, they basically made a breakthrough in like, I think how to train a neural network. And then,
Mhm.
oh yeah, wait. They introduced a transformer architecture. The paper was called "Attention is All You Need," authored by 8 Google researchers in 2017. It essentially like eliminated the need for recurrence and convolution, which was like, it took up a lot of like bandwidth in like early neural networks, and like allowed us to then get to the stage of like GPT-3 and then build on it off of that. Like, so yeah, I'm maybe like it's time for like we need another breakthrough before we can get to the next level. Cause I've just been like, from my personal observation of like the progress in these models, like it kind of does feel like we've hit a wall. Like, yeah, we've gone from like 3.0 to like now like 4.5, but like there's been like incremental improvements, but we haven't like, it's not like any new model is like, whoa, that like blows me away. I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about how these models work, like the LLMs work below the hood, but just my vibe is that, humans existed before language, right? Like, we didn't have language for a lot of humanity, but we presumably still had general, like, human intelligence that wasn't dependent on language. So I don't really see, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like language is the answer for getting human intelligence. Like, language seems like an offshoot of general intelligence, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how, if do you know, like,
I mean,
do these models function like a brain?
sorry, what'd you say?
I know they're neural, like, do these models actually function like a brain, or is it
I
just,
mean,
like, really good language, like, next token prediction?
yeah, I mean, I think it's gotten much further than, because I feel like next token prediction is more just like autocomplete and stuff like things like that, where it's like gotten that's more like early days of like, I don't know, like if you on like Google Gmail or like on Gmail, if you're like typing email or like autocomplete based on like statistically what it thinks should be the next, based on all the corpus data, statistically what should come next, right? But I think, I don't know, I don't know like exactly how, like there's a lot of stuff like, I mean, even with the ChatGPT models, they don't tell us everything. But I think with some of these like more these newer like reasoning models where they have a neural network, and then they're able to like perform like more backwards propagation to like recount on their steps and like re-reason and then think of how to approach things. That iterative approach is getting like more and more close to how we reason as humans. um so I personally think like we're gonna crack it and like create some sort of something very similar, because like when you think of like AGI, when I think of like in the long term, right? Like you like the way we think, like we're almost in a sense like trained on a corpus. Like we're trained on like what we see around us, and then we learn how to respond in certain ways. And I think it is almost algorithmic in a sense. But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of pivoting actually. But I know you're interested in like philosophy and stuff. I'm taking a philosophy of mind course, and like one of the early assignments we have to have is like, when we're trying to like understand and quantify the human mind, like is there some element of human mind, like is there some aspect of consciousness that we have that you think could never be emulated in a machine? Or do you think like, because I guess that's, or do you think in more of like a physical materialist view where like everything we are is just based on the matter we're made up of, like like our cells and things like that?
Yeah. Shit, man. I don't know. I don't know if I'm qualified to answer that. I
Yeah,
like
I
to
guess,
think
like,
that
there's no right answer, and that's why it's, like, fun to talk about, like, there's no I don't think there's any right or wrong answer at this
yeah,
point, it's just, like, what are your general musings on it?
I like to think that there's a soul and something unique to humans. But yeah, that's by faith alone. That's there's no scientific backing to that. But yeah, I don't. It just it's really hard to imagine a robot that has the same exact feelings as humans. Um, God, I don't know. I hope it won't exist. Like that just seems really really dystopian for some reason. But yeah, I guess it opens up new avenues though, right? Like you could, I don't know. People say like download your brain in a computer, like you live forever. I don't know. That's maybe cool. I don't know if I would do it. Like I don't know if that's really something you actually should do, but yeah, it can be good, but it does freak me the fuck
What
out.
do you think about people falling in love with, like,
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Like, that
would
shit, that
you
has to
think that
be
you
like
could foster you think you could foster real? Because imagine this, like, just I don't know, maybe even, like, 10, 15 years down the line. And it I mean, the insides, like, yeah, like, of the machine or whatever, it's all still algorithmic and statistical, like, there's no real sense of consciousness there, but it knows how to, like, talk to you in a way where, like, it stimulates, like, dopamine and oxytocin that you get from, like, falling in love, and, like, it knows exactly, like, what you're like as a person, like, how to, like, stimulate certain aspects, like, of your interest and personality. Like, what what do you think is gonna happen there where there's, like, bots, like, designed to get you to fall in love with them? Or do you think that'll never happen? You can't foster genuine love with the AI?
it's like Blade Runner, right?
Yeah,
You know,
it
I
would
think
be.
it's possible. Yeah, I can't imagine anything more dystopian than like a bunch of like sex plots or whatever that people have. But as far as the romantic side of it, I think so a robot can be perfect, right? It can know everything about you, it could talk to you in all the right ways. But again, I don't think people like I don't think that's the end all be all when it comes to relationships. I don't think that's what people are really looking for. And you know, like the dystopian novels that are all like, you know, about how everything is great but it turns out that like people actually kind of want like stuff you kind of want stuff to go wrong in life, right? Like you don't want everything to always go correctly or go optimally. Like you need bad things in life to appreciate the optimality and like I don't know, I think you kind of want to experience the entire range of human emotions and I think part of that is like going through a relationship with another human and actually having, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly of that. You don't just want the good, like, and I think, okay, I guess the counter argument is a robot could also like give you the conflict, like the necessary conflict or whatever to have that full range of human experience. But I don't know, man. It just seems so dystopian, and like I like to think that most people wouldn't want like they would prefer to have a quote unquote worse relationship with a person over, you know, a perfect ideal one with a robot.
Yeah. No, because I think, like, part of, like, what we fall in love with a person, like, is some of their imperfection, right? Um,
Actually, John Legend, yeah.
would you say?
John Legend?
Is that John Legend? Oh, yeah, song, and then there's also I mean, yeah, I think just, like, that's just a general,
Yeah.
I think, sentiment that most people have. Um, alright, dude, no, yeah, this has been fun. I guess, like, I guess one question, right, for Penn students listening. Do you have any advice on, like, how a Penn student can, like, find the one? Like, what could they do to, like, navigate Penn specifically? Where are the best spot like, do you just, like, I don't know, where are the best spots, like, meet people in your classes or, like, clubs or just, like, sabbing on Locust or well, actually, I don't I guess before I ask, like, do you, like, even, like I mean, are you, like, a love veteran or something? Like, have you been in a lot of relationships? Like, what skill set do you have
Oh.
you can trust your advice?
I've been in
Have you found love at Penn?
I've dated 5 girls and I've been in 6 relationships.
At Penn.
No, 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 not that bad.
What
I've
about
I've only dated I've had girlfriends at Penn,
you? What'd you say?
and they were very lovely people. I had 2 girlfriends at Penn.
Okay, so I guess all right, I guess you have some experience then
More
for
experience than most, I hope.
for
Yeah.
some people, yeah, for some people who've like not been in any relationships, like what advice can you give to students? Like, how do you find love at Penn?
It's really fucking hard. As far as, like, where to meet people, like, I don't know. Anywhere, man, like, I met my first girlfriend at, like, an ice rink, like the Penn one, and then I
Okay.
met my second one on Hinge. Uh, I think either way is fine. I think Hinge is actually, like, a totally viable thing, like, again, I don't think there's a lot wrong with it, um, and it, like, gives you access to a lot of people at Penn you, like, wouldn't normally meet, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I don't think, like, there's any one way to meet people. I think the important thing is, like, I think you should definitely make it a priority, like, I think you should be seeking it when you're at Penn, if you actually care about, like, marriage and stuff like that. Because I think it's at the end of the day, it's so much more important than, like, most of the stuff you'll do here, right? Um, yeah, shit. I think okay, so the divorce stuff I think is really, like, useful. I think if people I have this book, I'm, like, gonna read it. It's by that, divorce lawyer. It's called How to Stay in Love, but he also has a lot of podcasts, and I've listened to, like, every single one. Honestly, I think if every single, like, person listened to that 3-hour podcast
Yeah.
on Lex Fridman's show, like, everyone's relationships would be so much better, right? Like, I
And
think so
if
much
they
of your
listen
relationship.
and if they listen to this podcast, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I don't know if I'm as good as James Sexton, but yeah, yeah, I mean, I give this spiel to, like, everyone I fucking meet at Penn, or, like, people I talk to a long enough time, but yeah, I mean, just, like, swing the bat, man, like, give it a go, you know? I think a lot of people are worried that they'll get, like, embarrassed or, it's just not gonna work out and they'll get their heart broken, but, like, I think that's just part of the human experience and, like, you should do
Yeah.
that, right? Like
Do you swing the bat big? Like, do you go after like Penn has a lot of really attractive, like, high baller people. Like, people were
Oh.
just like, I don't know, do you go after that or do you kind of like do you think it's better to like be safer with it? Or just go for you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Uh, I guess, yeah, I mean
Like, let's say you go to Penn and you're chopped. What advice do you have for them? Like, do you have to just be really funny then to make up for it?
I don't know, man, like,
Like, do you think all right,
the girls I dated were, like, probably out of my league, like, I don't think people actually care that much about,
yeah.
um obviously people care, but, like, I don't think it's actually as big of a deal as people make it out to be, like,
Yeah, what
people
do
usually
you
just
know
kinda
about this guy? He's this famous dude, wrote all these books. John, who's the guy who wrote The Art of like, like The Art of War and like Mastery and like all those like big do you know what I'm talking about?
uh, I have I have the book right here, what is it? Robert Greene,
Yeah, Robert
right?
Greene wrote this book, dude, called The Art of Seduction, like where he gets into like how people have like he even like his one of his main points like in the book on one of the chapters is like even if you're like unattractive or chopped or like not the best looking, there's so much more to it than that, right? I don't know how realistic that is. Um, but like I don't know, he talks about how and here he's in the book he's talking more about like how to seduce and manipulate and like not stuff and like not very like romantic things, but like I think he was talking about like if you have the right personality, that's more of what matters. But I don't know, I feel like in today's world, right, where like it's so easy to like be inundated with like attractive people on your feed. People have gotten like a lot more picky.
Yeah, it's fucked up. I don't know. Yeah, like I agree. I think we've like totally idealized and like really gone out of touch with what like realistic people look like, right? Like I don't know. I like to think I'm not as much like that. I think another thing to note is like like, beauty is not objective. Like, there could be, like, the hottest person in the world, but, like, a lot of people aren't gonna find that person attractive. Like, it's just, like, not their thing.
Yeah,
Um
I think it was either Plato or Aristotle was like they were trying to like quantify beauty. Like this was actually interesting. I was reading about it in
Yeah,
some book about love. Uh wait, let me look this up real quick. Like it let me Aristotle.
I read a paper by Plato about beauty this semester. I
Were
can't
they
remember what
like
it's called, though.
I don't know, there was like they almost came up with like an algorithm for like what's beautiful by like dividing the face like symmetrically and like oh yeah, it was Plato. Like he went on about like ideal forms and all that and like he um
Yeah.
yeah, and then he wrote some in one of his dialogues, the symposium, he talks about like idealizing beauty as a pathway to truth. Like the most beautiful things are a glimpse into the eternal and divine. Like I don't know, and he
Dude,
seemed
I
like
literally read that. Oh, yeah.
oh, you read that?
Yeah, yeah. Like, that quote, I remember that.
Dude, I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like guys who are literally reading Plato and like talking about his quotes are like the most hopeless romantic people on the planet. It's like the two of us. But anyway, yeah, I just what are your thoughts on it? Because like I feel like it's weird, right? Like for it's almost now people are kind of idealizing beauty more too. So it's like we're almost like matching what it was like back in time, like with the ancient Greeks.
Yeah, I don't know what's to blame. Like, I'm sure you could come up with a lot of things. It's, capitalism or marketing, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, but, yeah, I feel like maybe we've just moved to a more, like, standardized world. Like, maybe I'm going too far, but, like, we're globalized, like, cultures aren't as, like, distinct as they used to be. Like, it's not like you have, like, as many, like, unique stores and stuff. Like, we have a lot of chains. Like, there's a lot of things in our life that are just, like, very standardized now, and I feel like maybe we've done that with people too, right? Like, we just kind of expect people to, like, fit a certain mold.
Even like beauty now to an extent people are trying to conform because
Yeah.
now you can like actually edit your appearance, right? Like there's people getting like
Yeah, yeah.
lip filler and like BVLs and like way too much stuff where like some of it just objectively looks terrible, but like I guess since other people are doing it, you want to try to conform now and like
Yeah.
there's also that book, like the Westfield book, Westerfield. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like called The Uglies. In the future, essentially, everyone undergoes surgery to like look perfectly symmetrical and ideal. So it like the whole aspect of like beauty like is taken away like from society. Like there's no sense of someone being more attractive and like having higher status or anything because of that. It's kind of an interesting idea, but like I think that too, like the concept of beauty might become irrelevant as we start to have enhancements and like right now, pretty obvious if someone gets like work done, but like I'm thinking about in the future, right? Like what if like with like gene therapies or other editing techniques, everyone can just change the way they look. I don't know, just this
Yeah,
random
it's
thing
terrible.
I'm talking and thinking about. I don't know if you have any comments on that, but
I don't know. It can either be liberating or, like,
yeah.
the worst thing, I feel like. Like, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, like, I feel like people don't want everyone to be the same, but, like, you could, like, totally see, like, why, like, if you're, like, chopped, as you said, like, why you would do that, right? Because, like, that's, like, totally unfair if you're
Yeah, I think
chopped. That's so funny.
I'm too chronically online, right? But I use the vocab, as they say. Anyway, okay, all right. It's I've been rambling, but like back to you. Like we're wrapping up this podcast. Went by pretty fast, pretty interesting. I would say.
It did.
Dude, I did genuinely did not go into this spot. I thought we'd be just talking about like coding and like AI and vibe coding like the whole podcast, but like did not anticipate this turn of conversation. But yeah, anything else? I guess you're going into your senior year now, right? So any last
Yeah.
like apart from, finding your wife, right? Any other things you wanna do in your senior year, like something you're trying to tick off the Penn bucket list?
Oh, yeah. I wanna run the Philly Marathon. I've never done that, even though I'm a runner, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, I see you got the numbers up there. What were those from? Is that like
Uh, this past cross country season, I guess, the nationals meet in or that was in Hershey, and then regionals also, and I have another one from a meet, but I can't remember what that is. I just do the club team, though. I'm not like yeah, I'm pretty chopped at running. I don't know if that fits. But, yeah, it's a lot of fun, but I wanna run the marathon. I feel like I've just been, like, super locked in at Penn, and I kinda wanna, like, relax a little bit in my senior year, so I'm gonna try to do more of that. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just insane that it's almost over. It's like,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm glad it's over, like, it's I feel like it's a lot of work, and, like, maybe the 9 to 5 life actually will be kinda more chill, but yeah, it is fucking insane that it's been 3 years. Although I feel like I've changed a lot, like, it's been good.
Good, bro. Alright, yeah, well, no, thanks for coming on. How would you rate your experience on this podcast?
This was fucking dope, bro. I'm glad I got to sit on the soapbox about, love and divorce and all that. That's, like, my favorite thing to do.
No, this I can definitely give this one will have a catchy, clickbaity title on YouTube.
Clips are gonna go crazy.
And the clips
Hopefully
will
they
be
keep
crazy, dude. I'm excited for these plays.
yeah.
Alright,
That should
let me stop the recording here.